It doesn't look like a typical comet where you see a beautiful tail of dust stretching away from the direction of the sun.
Avi Loeb uses a strange analogy for the object hurtling through our solar system, a cat with a tail coming from its forehead. Normal comets have tails that trail behind them, pushed by the sun. This object, 3I Atlas, has a bizarre glow pointing towards the sun. This is just one of a dozen red flags that have scientists scrambling for answers. What many overlooked is that this cat is also 1,000 times bigger than the last one that visited and is shedding strange metals. It's a puzzle that doesn't fit together, and the picture it's starting to form is terrifying. Bigger than Manhattan. Harvard professor Avi Loeb, a man not known for quiet speculation, compiled a staggering 4,000 observations from 227 observatories. He and his colleagues tracked the object's every move. What they found was a profound, baffling mystery. The Hubble Space Telescope provided a crystal-clear image showing 3I Atlas was actively venting material. It was shedding a mind-boggling 150 kilograms, about the weight of a motorcycle, every single second. This continuous stream of gas and dust was blasting away from it, pushed by the heat of the sun. Basic physics, the kind that governs rocket engines, dictates that this should have acted like a thruster, pushing the object and altering its trajectory. Every comet we've ever studied does this. It's called non-gravitational acceleration, but 3I Atlas was different. It didn't budge, not even a little. Its path remained perfectly, stubbornly dictated by gravity alone. What many overlooked was the sheer implication of this. For that jet force to have no effect, the object would have to be colossal. Loeb did the math, and the numbers were staggering. He calculated that 3I Atlas must have a mass of at least 33 billion tons. Let that sink in. This wasn't some small asteroid. It was a behemoth. To have that much mass, if it were made of solid rock, it would need to be over 3 miles wide. That's the entire width of Manhattan Island, flying through our solar system. And here's the kicker. That's just the minimum size. The actual size could be far, far larger. This discovery sent shockwaves through the astronomical community. You can see this everywhere in science. When data defies theory, you're on the verge of a breakthrough. The previous interstellar visitor, an object named Borisov, was about twice the size of a football field. 3I Atlas was at least 1,000 times more massive. The question became, if objects this enormous are common, why haven't we seen thousands of smaller ones the size of Borisov? The math just doesn't add up. There simply isn't enough rock and ice drifting between the stars to produce a visitor of this scale even once a decade, let alone one that behaves so strangely. It was the first clue that 3I Atlas wasn't just a rock. It was something else entirely. And it was about to reveal even more of its impossible secrets. The more scientists looked, the less sense it made. A trail of impossible clues. As 3I Atlas continued its journey through our solar system, scientists began to analyze not just its movement, but its composition. And this is where the story takes a turn from merely strange to potentially technological. When astronomers point their instruments at a comet, they expect to see the chemical signatures of simple elements: water, carbon, maybe some iron mixed in with dust. What they found with 3I Atlas was, to put it mildly, a shock. A report surfaced detailing the material being shed by the object. It was rich in nickel. But the most shocking fact was the absence of its cosmic partner, iron. In asteroids and comets, nickel and iron almost always appear together in similar quantities, like salt and pepper. Finding a massive cloud of nickel with barely any iron is practically unheard of in nature. So where do you find large quantities of refined nickel without iron? The answer isn't in space, it's on Earth, specifically in industrial manufacturing. Nickel alloys are fundamental to advanced technologies, prized for their strength and resistance to corrosion. The implication was as clear as it was unnerving. The material coming off 3I Atlas looked less like natural space debris and more like the byproduct of something manufactured. This wasn't just a random assortment of elements. It had the signature of a specific, refined material. It was a clue that pointed away from a natural origin and towards an artificial one. But the anomalies didn't stop there. Observers also noted that the light reflecting off the object's dust cloud was behaving strangely. It showed an extreme negative polarization. To simplify, when light bounces off a surface, it can become polarized. Think of the glare off a hot road, which is why polarized sunglasses work so well to block it. The light from 3I Atlas was polarized in a way that was completely different from any known comet. Avi Loeb had an explanation, and it was tied to another visual oddity that left scientists speechless. For months, the Hubble telescope observed a faint glow around the object. But this was no ordinary cometary tail. Normal tails are made of dust and gas pushed away from the sun, so they always point away from it. But not all things are what they seem. The glow from 3I Atlas was a long, thin feature, 10 times longer than it was wide, and it was pointing towards the sun. Loeb described it as a cat with a tail coming from its forehead. It's an image that is both absurd and deeply unsettling. No natural process known to science can explain this. This bizarre forward-pointing tail, combined with the strange industrial metals, painted a picture of an object that was not just passively reacting to the sun, but was perhaps actively doing something. It was more than just a visitor. It was an enigma wrapped in an impossibility. Coincidence or contact? In the vast, silent theater of space, every event leaves an echo. Sometimes those echoes take decades to reach us. On August 15, 1977, a radio telescope in Ohio known as the Big Ear detected something extraordinary. For 72 seconds, it picked up a powerful narrow-band radio signal coming from deep space. It was so perfect, so unlike any natural cosmic noise, that the astronomer on duty, Jerry Eman, circled the reading on the printout and wrote a single word in the margin. Wow. The wow signal was a ghost. It was undeniably extraterrestrial, but it never repeated, and its origin remained one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in science. For nearly 50 years, it was a whisper from an unknown source, until 3I Atlas arrived. Avi Loeb, looking for patterns, decided to trace the trajectory of 3I Atlas backward in time to see where in the sky it came from. When he plotted its origin point, he found a chilling coincidence. The direction from which 3I Atlas entered our solar system was the exact same region of the sky that the WOW signal had originated from in 1977. The two positions in the sky were aligned within 9 degrees of each other. The thing nobody tells you about coincidences in astronomy is that they are rarely just coincidences. Loeb calculated the odds of this alignment happening by pure chance. The result was just 0.6%. Suddenly, a wild, almost unbelievable hypothesis emerged. What if 3I Atlas wasn't just an object but a messenger? What if it was the very thing that transmitted the WOW signal all those years ago? The scenario is mind-bending. A technological probe, traveling silently through the interstellar void, sends a powerful broadcast ahead of it, a ping to announce its eventual arrival. Then, 48 years later, the probe itself coasts into our solar system. The mystery of the WOW signal wasn't that it was a one-time message, but perhaps that its sender was finally catching up to it. This possibility prompted Loeb to urgently call on radio observatories around the world to listen to 3I Atlas. Was it still transmitting? Was it broadcasting now as it moved deeper into our system? So far, there have been no confirmed reports of new signals, but the silence is almost as unnerving as a broadcast would be. Many people are crazy about the idea of alien messages, but this was the first time a credible, physical object was directly linked to the most famous potential alien signal in history. It raised the stakes from an academic curiosity to a matter of planetary significance. Was this a coincidence of cosmic proportions, or was it the prelude to first contact? The answer was unknown, but the question alone changed everything. The ants and the biker. The arrival of 3I Atlas is what risk analysts call a black swan event. This isn't just a surprise, it's a moment that completely shatters our understanding of reality, a moment with massive world-altering consequences. And according to Harvard astronomer Avi Loeb, It's a scenario for which humanity is disastrously and foolishly unprepared. This isn't about giant rocks falling from the sky. We have plans for that. We track thousands of asteroids, constantly scanning the darkness, because we all know what happened to the dinosaurs. But this is different. This is a threat we never even thought to plan for. What so many in the mainstream scientific community overlooked is that a technological object is not bound by the predictable behavior of a rock. It doesn't have to follow the neat, clean orbital lines we've drawn in our textbooks. It can change speed. It can change direction. With a technological object, all bets are off. Faced with this terrifying new reality, Loeb penned an urgent letter to the United Nations. He begged them to form a committee, an international body to assess interstellar objects and prepare for the day one of them turns out to be artificial. His letter was met with silence. The world's leaders were too busy with their own small problems to look up at the sky. Loeb uses a powerful analogy to describe our potential situation. Imagine a colony of ants living their entire lives in a small crack on a vast pavement. Their entire world, their science, their religion, is built around the existence of that crack. One day, they look up and see a motorcycle speeding directly towards them. They would have no way to understand what a motorcycle is. They wouldn't have the senses to perceive its true nature or the intelligence to understand its mechanics. They would have no way to communicate with the rider, and certainly no way to alter its path. We, Loeb warns with chilling certainty, are those ants. An intelligence advanced enough to send a city-sized probe across the unfathomable distances between stars would likely be operating on a level of physics and intention so far beyond ours that we couldn't even begin to comprehend it. What would its motives be? Would an entity that powerful even have motives we could understand? Its capabilities, its ultimate purpose, would be a complete and total mystery. Trying to guess what it wants would be like an ant trying to understand why a human is going to the grocery store. And here is where the story pivots from scientific observation to urgent, terrifying speculation. The flight path of 3I Atlas is deeply strange. In late October, as it makes its closest approach to the Sun, it will pass directly behind it, completely hidden from our view on Earth for several critical days. For any spacecraft, this is the perfect time to perform a gravitational maneuver, using the Sun's massive gravity like a slingshot to alter its course without using much fuel. Was this path a coincidence, or was it planned from the very beginning? We won't be able to see it if it changes course. If it emerges from the other side of the Sun on a different trajectory, one heading for Earth, the effect on our world would be immediate and catastrophic. And we're not talking about an impact. The damage would be done by the revelation alone. The moment it's confirmed, stock markets would evaporate into thin air. The foundations of every religion, every government, and every society would be shaken to their absolute core. It would prove, once and for all, that we are not alone, and we are certainly not the smartest kids on the block. But what if the object is something even stranger? Some theories suggest 3I Atlas isn't the main event at all. It might be a lure, a giant shiny object designed to make every telescope on Earth point in one direction, while smaller, stealthier probes enter our system undetected. Are they already here? Another theory suggests it could be a cosmic ghost ship, an ancient ark from a civilization that died out millions of years ago, tumbling silently through the void. What secrets or what dangers could be locked inside? Even more frightening is the idea that it's not here to talk or to observe. What if it's an automated machine, a planet-sized terraformer sent to remake worlds for its creators, and it sees Earth not as a home for 7 billion people, but as a lump of raw material for its next project? It wouldn't be evil. It would just be indifferent. The most shocking fact is, even if it does nothing, its presence alone forces us to confront these possibilities. Is this all just a bad dream? The problem is, the data is real. The observations are confirmed. The story of 3I Atlas is unfolding in real time, and the next few months could change our world forever. Is this a harbinger of a new era for humanity, or a nightmare scenario we can't escape? What do you think is the true nature of 3I Atlas? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates on this incredible story.